Okay. Many of you managed to, well, I don't know. It was quite depressing grading your exams, to say the least. I expected significantly better. Some of the fundamentals I thought all of you are fine, like setting up a class, migrating, populating. Some of you just decided to copy-paste course offering and call it course offering changes. If you did that, I really penalized you because you mindlessly copied. Right? It's absolutely no value at all in some of what you did. There were 3 students who did very well, and another 2 or 3 who did decently well, and then there were another 5 or 6 who got well, I'm counting at least a C minus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about 9 or 10 at least got a C or a C minus. 3 got B's or B minus, and 3 got A's. So which was not very, as I said, very encouraging. That's what 16 or 17 who made me feel that you understood. I'm going to discuss it, obviously, the exam itself. I'm trying to find a larger room to hold my office hours. Like this week, I cannot be around other than during my regular office hours, but subsequent weeks I'll try to. So today, so my hope is that those of you who are clearly there are some students who have to be working at this significantly more than you are, and some groups which are having problems. Those groups, again, I'm not going to keep telling you. You have to understand and commit to it. And some of you say, well, I can't come, but I'm trying to make available as many hours as I can. So if you are interested, you will be able to meet me or discuss or learn in some way. Also, those of you who are understanding the material, if you have time during these hours, it's a collaborative learning process in some way. So if you want to discuss and help some of your classmates understand, that's fine with me too. So anyways, today from 11:30 to 1, I'll be in, well, I'll leave a little before 1, but I'll be in room 131 on this floor. We also have the MIS Advisory Board, I think it's called, which essentially consists of a lot of our alumni, but also people who are placed in fairly good positions in MIS IT. Gino, some of you might know him. I think Carter, you said is there anyone else who's interning with Bravo? Are you the only one, Carter? Okay. He's the founder, CEO, I think, of Bravo Consulting. He's very entrepreneurial. Anyways, he wanted to know if any group is interested in discussing your project at this meeting. It is Friday. Friday means it's 22nd, Friday, from, I guess you'll have to go around 2:45, it's 3 to 3:30. If any group feels that they have some interesting ideas or concepts that you've, like some of the groups have gotten the workflow working, those kinds of issues, if you want to discuss, let me know. And obviously you'll have to go to the Erickson Alumni Center. Is there any group interested in discussing? Yes? No? Especially if you are still looking for positions, this would be a good place to. Even if your UI is not as smooth as you would like it to be or complete, if you have decent functionality, interesting, like there is an interesting flow, I think it's worth going and discussing. So anyways, let me know so that I can tell Dr. Peace that at least somebody will be coming. Okay. And I'll have to also, as far as the exam, the issue is not so much, I told you there's no guarantees of passing the course because some of you have not committed to it. How do I know that the student is really not committed at all? What tells me from looking at what you submitted? One? Well, that's on your project. Okay. What else? From what you submitted on the exam was a part of something that's ongoing, right? If I click on links and nothing works, what does that tell me? You haven't been doing anything. And really, if you've not shown that, and some of you haven't, I'm repeating myself again and again. If you have not shown commitment, I am not going to guarantee that you pass just because you're a senior. I want to see the commitment. I told it to you from day one, and some of you repeated, you're not attending class, you're not telling me that you're not attending, and those kinds of things. Anyways, I've given the grade that you have earned. I've actually tried to give points. I'm willing to give a few more points. I will set up on eCampus an assignment for you to submit. This has to be submitted before next class. It's obviously going to be based off of the exam. So let me just on eCampus, it should be again a zip file of your entire project. I'm going to make it due before class, so it will be by, I'm just going to say 8 a.m. on Thursday, 3/21. Okay. I'm going to discuss the exam as much as I can today. I'll also give you the exams back, and if you have questions, as I said, you can discuss with me. I've used the same grading scale as I have in the past. Which is 75 for an A, 70 for an A minus, 65 for a B, 60 for a B minus, 55 for a C, 50 for a C minus, 40 for a D. Okay, I'm going to go down this side because I sort of know. As I said, the first thing was I was wanting to see whether you did anything different, and let me point out what I mean by did something different. Hopefully I post, I don't know if I have the exam on this or not. Let's see. Okay, I'll just distribute it because I don't know if I was creating everything on my laptop. I don't think I have it here. If one of you have an extra thumb drive that I can borrow. But that's fine. I just then to remove this. Maybe I'll just remove it quickly. Okay, can you please put away your phones, please? If I hear this again, I'm going to ask whose phone is it? I want all phones inside. Okay, I'll ask you to leave, and if you do it again, I'll ask you to never come back. Okay, you have not shown that you really mastered this material to be distracted by phones. Okay, if you approved it, I'm fine. As I said, if you did well, I won't even give in your midterm exam, but the thing is to basically feel that you are earning stuff, not that, well, I just am a senior and I should be given this. What do I mean by it? Okay, I tried to make it very explicit that you needed to these are the additions here, the fistful columns. The rest of it is essentially course offering. And if you just took this part alone and just created course offerings changes, it has no meaning at all. Absolutely zero meaning. Okay, so if you ignore this fistful columns, if you at least, some of you at least try to bring in one column. If you didn't bring anything at all, and some of you actually just kept calling it course offering, it made absolutely no sense at all. It's supposed to be a new clause that, yes, it does mirror course offerings, but you're supposed to be documenting the changes that are happening, and that's why I explicitly put those 4 columns in here in the beginning. And it's not that complicated to add those 4 columns in. And once you add it in, you know that course offering is, if you, for all of you, if you have followed along in class, this should be working. So you add these 4 in, you're creating a new class, you're creating a migration, and so if you were able to migrate it with some additional columns, and then that was the base. If you got that in, then that would be at least like a C minus. If you got a row in, that was at least a C plus. Actually, in some cases, if you got all 4 columns in, I even brought it up to a B minus. If you were able to just display it, and displaying it is very, very, very simple, right? It's just a list. So that would be a B. So you wouldn't even have to go into any of this. If you did the very, very basic stuff, which was to just add new columns and then insert a row, and again, I wanted this to be fairly straightforward. There's nothing, this is a string, another string, this is a third string, and this is a date time, which we have discussed. So the really challenging part is step number 3, and that's the part that, well, if you had gotten the others, then as I said, you would have at least a B. So many of you, as I said, didn't even address this. Okay, so that's, and if you have not addressed it, then I really, as I said, I've really cut down on the grade. It's, okay, let me just. And 3 students submitted their projects with build areas. And by now, you shouldn't be having build areas. Still have migrate to the project. Your segment had some old functions of your property. Check your, unless you can take a screenshot and tell me that this is something that has not changed, and so we can pause or send it as well to file longer. You have the timestamps of exactly what your segment goes on without any we did add one column in the section that was changes name, but the other three were the same. And then it did not migrate, but it needs to attempt data and save those. And then links are the same on like on it should work all the it needs form keys for the users of the donor add these problems. And then for a while it broke down. We are trying to do something very complex. The model looks okay, but the column keys are not there, and also other links are not there. Well, do you have that without change? If you have it,
So I'm not like making
yeah, you'll have to. If you can find that file, you can that entire zip file, submit it. But I will have to check for the timestamp. So. The other option is create a copy it to a separate directory and hit me and show that to me. So whatever you're discussing today should be on an entirely different project. So well, just put it on file author and share it with what you have on. Okay, let me start on this. I'll go through the concept, and I obviously won't get to everything, but I can discuss some of it, and then have you finish up the rest. So Matt, just submit the entire zip file on WV file locker. And as I said, I will check the, but just meet with me after class. Okay, the way I can tell it's an old one is you didn't even have your test project on it. Well, you can check your eCampus and see what you submitted. Well, it's your responsibility to submit the right one. You know that, right? Okay. Let's come back to this. This is course offering. and this is what we wanted to add. So it is, you could use course offering as your starting point, and then our objective is to keep track. So the way the scheduling happens in the WVU system is that there is the central scheduling system, and they want to control it centrally because they want to allocate classrooms in the most optimal way across all the schools. But each of the colleges needs to specify what courses they need covered. So basically, what the process is, so let's say for fall 2019, the BNE scheduling team receives the fall 2018 schedule, and they receive it as an Excel spreadsheet, and they have to go in and make changes to courses, essentially whatever I put in here. If they feel that if a coordinator finds that there is additional demand, they might say, okay, let us add in a course offering for 351, but they may not know who might be able to teach it. So that would be left up to the department chair to go in and edit it. Another coordinator might delete a course offering for which there was not much demand previously. They do get statistics of the capacity and enrollment and so on. And finally, you could have another coordinator going in and saying, well, this particular course is conflicting with the day and time that some other course is being offered, which has to be sort of taken at the same time or whatever else. So these kinds of changes have to be documented. Why do they have to be documented? Because the BNE coordinator has to send it back to WVU saying that, well, from fall 2018, these are the changes you need to make to the schedule. So they use 2018, the previous, whatever the corresponding semester, as the basis. So we have to keep track of all the changes that are being made. And that's why this clause becomes so important. As I said, in the back and forth process between the coordinator and Dr. Kleist, who was the chair last year, essentially they switched me and Dr. Nazir, and that's how, as I said, I got imposed on you twice for 450 and 353. Otherwise, you would have been spared at least one of those experiences. So anyways, so coming back to this, so that's why it's so important to keep track of all these changes. If you don't keep track of it, then you impose these kinds of traumatic events on unsuspecting students. So anyway, so that's one of the reasons we absolutely have to track this, and we need to know who made the change, and also potentially tracking the date and time allows you to know what was the latest change on some particular course offering. It also asks you not to set a foreign key or object-oriented connection to course offering. Only 3 or 4 students even bothered to answer this question. So what was the reason for not setting a foreign key to course offering? Yes?
You're making changes in course offering, so
So which of the operations would be the most problematic? Okay, well, edit is still, there is some connecting link. what happens if you delete a course offering, if you have a foreign key? Yeah, and it will try to, well, usually by default it will try, if there's no parent, the child gets deleted. So that's why I told you for course offering alone, don't set a foreign key, because then when you delete it, it just deletes the course offering changes too. Okay, but the other foreign keys we can retain for course and department and instructor. Well, because you're assuming those are going to continue to stay. Though part of it is even for course offering, one of the suggestions Jacob Brewer and I are working on, the so-called real application, we are going to try to propose keeping the old version and just putting, like saying it is no longer being used or something to that effect. Then we could use course offering as a foreign key. Okay, let me get into creating it. Okay, so models, add. Okay, so I'm going to call this course offering changes. And I'm going to make it easier in the sense that we could set it up to connect to have a foreign key to a user, but I'm just going to bring these four in as just properties. So, but as I said, I'm going to we can use course offering as a starting point. Okay, so I don't want to make, what's the first property that you want to set in any class in MVC? What would that be? Primary key. So public int course offering changes ID get set. Okay, and I want to make this a key. Okay. After I have this, I'll go into course offering, and I'm going to. So this is standard practice. By now, you should. There are some things that we have been doing so many times that it should be. Like you want to be conscious of it, but it should sort of be second nature. So these are the, I'll bring these in so that you can just have it. CRM, I'm not copying this. Why am I not copying this? I have my key over here. And I explicitly said I don't want a foreign key set to course offering. Okay, so I don't want that to come into my new class. So CRM day, start time, end time, start date, end date, instructor, course, ID. And why do we have instructor ID with this nullable int and course ID not having the nullable int?
People may add a course offering, but then not then so that they can teach it.
But can you add a course offering without the associated course? And the answer is no. So that's why this is a nullable int while the second is not. So I'm just copying up to here. Control C. The Control tab, Alt tab moves you between programs. Control tab within between windows in the same program if you're using Windows. foreign key, obviously you need to bring in the using statement. Okay. Now, in addition, I need to bring in the 4 columns that I had here. Changes, name changes, role changes, type, and date time changed. Okay, so public string changer's name gets set. Public string changer's role gets set. Public, what's it? Is it a string as well? Yeah. What's the last one? Public date time. I'll just say changed or date. When was it? Date and time changed. Okay, I'll say changed date time. That's set. Okay, so I have these 4 columns, and the rest of my all the rest is from course offering. So when I set up my constructor here, okay, just remove some of this extra stuff. Okay, I'm going to set up there are going to be 2 constructors. There are other ways of populating just directly through properties, but I'm going to follow the format we have been using. So we have 2 constructors. By the way, I'll just briefly pause. Any questions on this? This is fairly straightforward, right? At least I assumed it would be. And as I said, I deliberately even put this table right above to sort of sensitize you to it. Anyways, if you had specific questions, problems, please let me know. Again, if you're having doubts, ask me or ask your teammates, anyone who can clarify. So let's come back to this. I need 2 constructors. One is so if I take these, obviously the empty constructor, and I can take this constructor as well, public course offering, just to make it faster. But I should remember to do what? Change it to, this is the name of the class, and then just to make it clear, I'll put there are going to be changes name, changes role, change type. Okay, so these are the 3 additional. Well, isn't there a 4th one as well? Changed date time. Do we not bring that in as a parameter here? Yes, no? Do we? Yeah, we get it from the system, so we can just say, yeah, so I can just say this dot change date time equals system dot date, is it date time dot now? Yeah, it's this. So it is system dot date time, and if let's see if there's a using fun. I think now it's because it just gives, I think, the time as well as the date. Yeah, it gives date and time that is set to the current date and time on this computer. Okay, so this is, why did I not use parentheses for now? Well, it's a property, so you have to be comfortable with the IntelliSense. It's not always clear whether it's a property or a method. Okay, so the other three, this dot changer's name, I'll get it from, and you have to be a little careful. The convention we are using is all the parameter names start with lowercase c. All the property names, all the property names start with uppercase. So if I change this to uppercase as well, what will happen? It won't assign it because it's not coming through the parameter list. So these are small things to keep in mind, so that on a project or exam, if something, if a particular property or a column is not getting populated, then this is the reason for it. Okay, I'll just separate this a little bit so you're able to see it. These are the four that we've added in. And anytime we create our own constructor, what do we need to do? Bring in an empty constructor, so I'll do that. Okay, this is end class and namespace. Okay, now let me go again through the population process. Again, some of you copied and pasted from here, which was fine to copy and paste, but you need to make sure you're making the changes that are required. So let's see what, I'm just taking the first course offering. Let me just copy that alone in here. So it's public static list course offering. So what's the first thing that we need to change? Instead of populate course offerings, it is populate course offering changes. Pardon? The list here has to change because it's a list of course offering changes. This as well. There were some students who had actually kept this as is for course offering. So all of this obviously changes course offering changes list, and since I've changed this, I'm just going to rename it wherever it occurs. And then this is a list of course offering changes, okay. And then what else should I change? So inside of it, this is complaining because, why is this complaining here? I'm not returning that list. So return course offering changes list, okay. And inside, I'm not wanting to create course offering, but I want to create course offering changes. So this changes. Okay, so the things that I need to add in here are, the columns that I added: changes name, changes role, and change type. So let's maybe go in and add. Let me look at the PDF file and make the changes. So changes name coordinator 1, role is coordinator, change type is add, and okay, so those three I will bring in here. So coordinator 1. And then I want string change type was an add. Okay. Okay, so instead of having this, this is the CRN, so I need to keep this, I guess. Okay. I need to bring in the three parameters: changes name, changes role, and change type. Okay. What about the date time changed? Do I need to bring it in here? When I create the object, it's automatically getting assigned the current date and time. Okay. Now, I've just populated one course offering. So this is course offering change. Okay. I've just populated one. So you might want to think of adding another one if you want to explore that. But what I want to do now, before I go any further, what's one thing I shouldn't forget at this point? Yeah, first is application DB context. I want to go into application DB context and make sure that I add this in. Public DB set, and this is called course offering changes. And I'm just, well, I guess I'll keep it as is because it's already a plural. Okay. So now I'll go ahead and build it because I've already added a lot of code. Typically I don't wait so long before I add. I try to, that's, as I said, there were 3 students who had build errors. The easiest way to avoid it is to build it each time you add a segment of code. Okay, so now I've set up these, what's the next thing I need to do? Okay, DB initialize. I'll go do that now. I'll go, this is fairly close to course offering, so I'll go to course offering and just copy that segment of code and make whatever changes I need to make to this segment. Instead of course offerings, this is course offering changes. Okay. And then this is again going to be a list of course offering changes, course offering changes list. Okay. Okay. Course offering changes list, course offering changes. Okay, can somebody now tell me what is the reason for this complaining? How many of you know the answer? Yeah, okay. Yeah, instead it should be good. So again, I want you to understand whenever if there are any indications of that squiggly red line, a complaint, please make sure you understand why it's happening. That's what Kevin just pointed out. Okay. Okay, so now we have all of this set up. I'm going to build this. About 15 minutes remaining. Okay, now what is one of the first real tests that we'll sort of undergo now? Okay, SQL Server, the migration. Okay, so I'm going to open up SQL Server so that I have the evidence. That's my first real test, and because we have not been consistently doing the unit test, this is really our test of whether our models are working or not. By the way, I will introduce the other three tests, unit tests, add, delete, and update, so that we have the complete set of unit tests. Okay, let me go to S353. Okay, I'm going to first revert it back to 0. It's not always necessary. I'm just going to do it because it's, in my view, a safer practice. And then I will add the new migration. So I'm going to say update database dash migration 0. Okay. And now let me, let's see, so it's, I'm going to now, so I've migrated it, reverted it back to 0. What's the next step? Add dash migration and call it added course offering changes. Okay. Whenever you add a new migration, it should show up, and you should sort of get a sense of whether it did what you were expecting it to do. So if this shows up empty as it did for Timur, right? So where do you check? What would you do? So let's say on your project you've created a new class, it came up empty. What would you do? The most likely reason is you didn't add this in, but you still have a new migration, so you need to revert back. So you can say remove migration, so that goes away. Then after you have this added in, you can then add the migration. Okay, only then will it bring this into. Okay. So once I have the migration, I can go back and say update database. But do I need to do a restrict here? Okay, so let's see, where is my migration? Where are the foreign keys? Okay, on delete. So cascade, I'll do restrict. Okay, this is something I need to figure out why it did it automatically for instructor and not. Well, I guess for instructor, it allows, well, null values. I guess for courses, it doesn't allow null values. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so let me go ahead and now, so I have, how many foreign keys do I have? 2? Okay, one to instructor, the other to course. How do I get the department name then? I go through course offering, course, and then the course belongs to department. Okay. Okay, I'll update the database and see if this is my, as I said, my real FISPL. Well, each one is a test on its own, but this is sort of where whether it goes and populates it. Well, at this point, what are we hoping to accomplish when we say update database after adding a migration? Okay, we are wanting the table to show up. So if I go in here, refresh my tables. If I go into course offering changes, shows up, and my column should show up here. Okay, and when does it get populated? Okay, when I run the application, I'll start. Okay, so I have my, so this is, as I said, this was what I was hoping that most of you would accomplish. The next step is a little more challenging. What we want to do is to go inside of the course offering controller. What I did want you to do was to create the controller. This is going to be a very simple controller to just display. So it's a list of values that you're just displaying here. So that's very straightforward. You just need to include the other connected tables. But the one that a few of you did, 3 of you did was to go into the course offering controller, and then I asked you to go into add course offering. Okay, right here, what we need to do is basically we want to, since a new row has been added, we need to get all of the course offering information we can get from this object here. Okay, so what else do we need to get? We need to get the name of the user, and I told you that you can get the name of the user by looking for application user. If you go inside the database.user.find, you'll get that particular application user. So as far as, so if you want to get, let's say, string CRN, you can get it from saying course offering dot CRN. Okay, So these values you can get, and then what are you doing? You're creating the, you're going to create, so what we are trying to do is create the object, course offering changes, I'll just call it COC. Okay, so when I'm going to use the constructor, obviously, with all those these values, right? So CRN days and so on, I'll just get it like this, right? So as far as the okay, I'm going to comment it out now. You understand what I'm doing, right? So I need to get all of the parameter values. I'm just going to keep it now. But so what else I need to get are those three values which I said come in through by using this application user. So this, you have to make sure that it is it has an authorization. Only authorized users should be allowed to do add, delete, and updates. So when I use this, I just copied this over. Okay, the user ID, where does that come from? The logged in user. So did we ever get the user ID earlier? Do you remember when we did this? It was another course offering, something that we did there. What was it that we did in course offering? Right here. There is find course offering if user. Okay, right here. Isn't this the one? Oh. Okay, we can get the user ID. I'm going all the way down here. Okay, I can get the user ID for a logged in user doing this. So instead of saying stare ID, I'm going to say user ID, and this is going to be, it's a string. Okay, so this gets me the application user, and from the application user, I can say dot first name or last name. In this case, I'm interested in the last name. So string, what's this? So this is going to be the changer. I need the changer role, and what else do I need? The changer change type. String change type is what? Since I'm in the add. Okay, and then the role, there are a couple of different ways. I told you that I put it in the PDF file. You can check for the role by using this if statement. That's the easiest way. I've tried other ways, but this seems to be the easiest way. So for this, you can, so I'm just going to have you do this, which is not the cleanest way, but for now, this will work. Okay, I'll just set a string. I'll say change a role. Okay, so all of these values need to be passed on to creating the, and then once you have this object created, you have to send it to the database. Right, so that's pretty much all we are doing. Now this is going to keep getting the same thing that you're going to keep doing for edit and delete, right? So if the same code is getting repeated multiple times, I told you you should try to create a separate method. And I want to see how many of you are able to figure that out. So this code should not be, if you can, since it's going to be repeated 3 times, the only thing that will keep changing in the code that is getting used is change type. So let's see how many of you are able to figure that out, to take this code, put it into a private method of its own, and then call it and have it do its work. Okay. So this is so we've done, as I said, most of the work now for you to finish it up and then display. And when you're displaying it, I told you you should have something on top, a link called changes, so that if I click on it, you should get the list. Okay. So this is, I'll set up an assignment on eCampus that you need to submit by 8 a.m. It has to be the zip of your entire project up to now. And for those of you who have unworking functionalities, please make sure that they are working by Thursday so that you have the entire project functional. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Yeah. The homework was essentially completing the requirements here. Okay, so. Okay. Yeah.
When you created that variable change rule, there was this string, but you didn't assign anything. When you go to use it, you can tell this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you can either do this or initialize this to null. Yeah. Okay. No, today I'm going to try to have my office hours are in room 131, because instead of meeting individually, I will try to meet in larger groups. If, well, to allow students to work, I can just go around.
I sent you the.
You sent it before class. Okay. So did you communicate with Chad, or how?
Yeah, so I talked to him. You have your hours at 131, you said? Room 131, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, what room is that?
It's right outside. It's one of the. It's right.
Yeah, I think about it. So you're doing like kind of mass office hours today?